Today on Tales of Hometown History, we're going to talk about something that's a pretty unique story, something that just is not taught in our history books, largely forgotten about. I actually was brought aware of this. My friend Ralph Watts, who we've done several videos together on the channel, he's down in Savannah, Georgia with his fiance, and they were taking pictures at these different town squares. It's a really pretty town. And at this one town square, the picture you see right there is a memorial to Haitian troops who fought during the American Revolution. It was the largest African American, or say black, unit in the war, and it was the largest individual unit at this particular battle, which was the Siege of Savannah. Now, how many British soldiers were in this fort or in Savannah where they had their fortifications and whatnot? Really haven't been able to find that, but it was a decent amount. But their fortifications were impressive, and it was not a place you wanted to attack. But from what I've read, there was probably about 650 American soldiers, but it was several different units. I believe it was a General Nathaniel Greene was the general that was in charge. There were two other officers that was there, one with the French troops and one with another group of troops. Both of them got killed, and they actually had monuments to them at this battle or in Savannah for, I think it was the late 1800s, but they didn't do anything for these Haitian soldiers until 2007. Now, this particular battle, it took place from September 16th to October 18th, and this was actually considered to be the greatest British victory during the Revolution, other than Bunker Hill, like the greatest amount of losses. There were about, I believe there's, what we do know, 545 Haitian soldiers sailed over to help with the revolution, and specifically in this battle of Savannah. Now, the French were there. They had about 3,500 troops total, but most of them were from these different islands in the Caribbean that they had owned, and they got a lot of their white soldiers, and there were also black soldiers. Under French law, there was supposed to be total equality between the whites and the blacks, but unfortunately, just was not the case. So they really had to fight very hard to get their rights. These veterans, it's not really well known what role they played in this Battle of Savannah. There were some things about them being scouts before the battle began, starting as early as, I believe, September 8th. And they were very good at what they did. They were very brave, very courageous. So the role they did play was very, very impressive. And eventually, these men, when they went back to Haiti in 1804, they actually fought for their independence to get from France in 1804. They built this monument in 2007. I believe when they first built it, they had two soldiers shooting, and they were on either side of a soldier that had been shot in the chest. And then behind them to the left was a drummer boy, who's actually, this young drummer is Henry Christophe, which I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, who went on to become Haiti's first president, and that's him right there. And ultimately the king after they won their independence. Like I said, it's very unclear exactly what role they played, because in the 1830s apparently they had a big fire and most of the records were lost. But what is known is it was 545 soldiers, and they were the largest unit of soldiers from one area in that battle, and they were also the largest black unit of the revolution. These men were extremely courageous, and without their help, even though we lost this particular battle, without their help, we would not have the freedoms that we have today. And this is just another one of those stories that, it's a really cool story, very, very important to our history, but it's just not, it's not well known. and it took till 2007 for them to build this monument, which is top notch, thank goodness to say. And it had those 4 original soldiers, including the drummer boy, and then eventually they raised more money to add several of the other sculptures to that to complete it. Very, very cool. This is very much taught in Haitian history. It's something that the Haitians are very proud of, as they should be. It is one of those things that the other sad part of it as well, when Haiti fought for their independence, even though they sent a bunch of soldiers to our aid, we sort of ignored it. Part of that was because I think we had, our compromise with France, but part of it was just not doing the right thing, which is a shame. But Haiti won their independence. Henry Christophe was an extraordinary man. Fought in his youth there at the Battle of Savannah, and these men played a major role in our fight for independence. So this is another tale of hometown history, and we're trying to remember these different stories that just aren't that well known, and this is one of them. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you about town.